It's just back. Okay, we are back. Evening, Joe. How you doing? Apologies about that, everyone. I started the live show and then I ended the live show because I realized the message section wasn't there. I don't know why that happened. Evening, Miles CMF. Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? Joe Morrison, good to see you. Joe Zampa, good to see you as well. Hi, brother. Cowan, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, I'm good, thanks. How are you? I'm doing great. Extremely busy. I've been very busy, but doing good. Hi, Miles and Dennis. Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, Miles CMF. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's everyone doing today? Okay, so today we do actually have quite a lot of news to go through as well. We have news regarding the SEC. We have news regarding Biden administration and how incompetent the Biden administration is, because the person in control of money doesn't even know what money is from Joe Biden's side. And we have news regarding the SEC to go through on tonight's live show. We have news regarding VC companies and how much they're pumping into the crypto section. We have news regarding the CFTC to go through on tonight's live show. We have news regarding Bitcoin for corporations, according to MicroStrategy Michael Saylor, to go through on tonight's live show as well. We have news from Edward Snowden, which I revealed before who this man is, and essentially what he says people should really listen to regarding Edward Snowden. We'll go through what his recent comments were on the market movements, especially on Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about the following US labor market reports that came out, and the reason why the market is doing a little bit well and better today is because of the reports that came out. We're also going to be talking about Hong Kong and their ETF situation, which is doing a little bit better now. It's maturing as days go by. As I said, it takes 2 weeks minimum for it to mature. We have news regarding Bitcoin and a situation that happened, which we'll go through regarding security issues. We have news regarding Kraken and how Kraken is got a subsidiary, a giant subsidiary that's going for Bitcoin ETFs on the side. We have news regarding the US government can't go bankrupt because they print their own money, according to the Biden administration. News also regarding Hong Kong and how they've become a firm in Hong Kong is now the largest holder of IBIT, which is the BTC ETF from BlackRock. And we have news regarding a security mistake that was made regarding payments and something that nobody should fall for, a scam that's happening inside the crypto space. News regarding JP Morgan and how they've unveiled their new ChatGPT from JP Morgan. That's good for anybody who's in trading, but I don't know if they're going to make it public or is it for the private sector only. And also news regarding Chile on their CBDC movements, and an interesting news at the end of the live show regarding USDT. But quite a lot of things to go through: market perceptions, market movements, reports, data, the usual, but markets are progressing. So, before we do all of that, let me just go inside the comment section. Evening, Miles CMF, Jason S. Skull, Ian, good to see you as well. Evening, Miles and family, hope you're all well. I'm doing great. How you doing? How you been? A bit of a mini pump these past 2 days. How come, Miles? The reason for the mini pump is because there's a lot of institutions still entering the market. There's a lot of banks. Yesterday I discussed, BNP Paribas, who essentially entered into the crypto markets mainly for BTC ETFs. The reports came out on that one regarding their transactions, and also Hong Kong doing some movements in BTC ETFs as well. In terms of going for BlackRock's BTC ETF, interesting enough. How big a chance case ends this summer? How big of a chance? I mean, percentage-wise, regarding the Ripple versus SEC case coming to an end, quite high actually. This year, this summer, we don't know, but this year, very high, incredibly high. Evening, Miles and CMF. Miles, hope you're doing well. I'm doing great, Freedom Forever. Good to see you as well. Evening, Miles and CMF peeps. Semper, good to see you as well. How you doing? Coin, hello, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. Coin, how you doing? I think Bitcoin has risen about 4,000 in the last 2 days. It's about roughly 4,000, 5,000. Good evening, Professor Miles and my student family. Let's go, funky brother. Miles, what have I missed so far? Perfect time because we haven't went through the news yet. Good evening, Miles and everyone. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Good evening, everyone. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Miles, I cannot tap to like. It's been happening for a few days now. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. Maybe the app needs to be updated on X. I don't know why that's happening. But I do want to say, honestly, thank you so much to everybody that's retweeted this live show right at the beginning of the live show. Thank you so much to everyone that's retweeted this live show. I got notifications of retweets. So thank you so much because it does help at the beginning of the live show to spread this live show so we get the viewership coming in right at the beginning. So generally, thank you so much to everyone that retweeted. Now, before we start off this live show, the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. Now, on this live show, it's called a CMF live show. If you're watching it for the first time ever, we discuss recent news that's happening around the world regarding the blockchain sector, and we talk about the finance side, the blockchain side, the CBDC side, crypto news that's happening around the world. We also talk about politics because it all plays in together. And we do Q&As as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So, as I said, we do have quite a lot of news to go through, and one by one, everyone's tuning in, which is good. Hi, Miles and CMF. So I'm good to see you. How you doing? I can't retweet anymore as it won't let me, sadly. That's a bit odd. I think you have to go out of the live, retweet, and then come back in. The method before didn't work. The method that they used to have on X doesn't work anymore. I prefer X more than YouTube as I can see the comments more clearly and not overlapping. Okay. Yeah, I think you have to go outside of the live, retweet, and then come back in the live. I think that's how they've made it now. It's not through the live. You can't retweet it anymore. But, yeah, I understand a lot of people having that issue right now. So, welcome to CMF Live Show, everyone. And the first news we're going to be going through is regarding the SEC. The SEC delays decisions on Bitcoin and essentially carbon credit ETFs. Now, yesterday I revealed to everybody that a few representatives from the United States sent a letter to Gary Gensler to, green light other options when it comes to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin options, a Bitcoin so on, a Bitcoin so, a more variety of Bitcoin options essentially on the markets. Now that letter was sent to Gary Gensler, and Gary Gensler decided to obviously respond, and this is what the response was. Basically, no. The Securities and Exchange Commission stated that deliberations over the next course of action for a proposed exchange-traded fund focusing on Bitcoin and carbon credit futures contracts will take longer. The regulator stated in a filing that it would decide by June 24th, 2024 about to whether approve or disapprove or institute proceedings for the 7RCC spot Bitcoin and carbon credit futures ETFs. The SEC said that the Commission believes it is appropriate to set a longer deadline for the action on the proposal to give itself enough time to evaluate the proposed rule change. They essentially suggested fund intends to allocate 80% of its resources to Bitcoin and the remaining 20% to financial instruments, including swap agreements that provide exposure to carbon credit futures represented by the index as per the filings. On December 18, 2023, a little over a month before the SEC approved 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs and S1 registration statements was filed for the spot Bitcoin and essentially carbon credit futures ETFs, the custodian cryptocurrency exchange Gemini stated in a statement from December, the fund provides investors with exceptional chance to diversify their holdings by striking a balance between the cutting-edge aspects of Bitcoin and the forward-thinking domain of carbon credit futures. Further, it continued that the fund offers investors a comprehensive single trade strategy for digital assets and environments, essentially sustainability by achieving this. So, the SEC, we do have a deadline. I don't know if they're going to be pushing that deadline again. Knowing Gary Gensler, he does tend to push deadlines. But according to the SEC, by June 24th, 2024, we should have a variety of options when it comes to Bitcoin and not just ETFs. So June 24th, we could have some sort of an announcement from the SEC that they're going to be doing, approving futures when it comes to BTC or other options when it comes to BTC as well. So it can expand its range and a lot more money can enter the markets in the crypto side, Bitcoin side, but it grows adoption for the entire market space. So June 24th is the deadline that's set by the SEC, Mr. Gary Gensler. Before I go for the next news, by the way, is surge in crypto venture investments. Let's go to the comment section. I prefer X. Yep. Done. Yeah, Joe, I saw. Thank you so much for retweeting the live show. Joe, I saw the notification. And David just retweeted the live show as well. Got a notification. George retweeted the live show as well. I got that notification as well. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, George. Hi, Miles CMF. Good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? The next news on tonight's live show is this. The surge in crypto venture investments following a series of downturns, the cryptocurrency and blockchain sector have recently experienced a notable increase in venture capital backings. Research from Galaxy Research highlights that in early months of 2024, the industry saw $2.49 billion funneled into 603 different deals. This is a significant 29% increase in fundings and 68% jump in transaction counts from the previous quarter, signaling a potential recovery phase for the crypto markets. This is massive. Just in the few months of 2024, just at the beginning of 2024, venture capital companies, VC companies that tend to, fund ideas or businesses, $2.49 billion has went towards crypto projects to start them up as startup companies, essentially. That's massive. They're seeing potential inside the crypto sector is what it is. What drove the investment boost? Several factors contributed to this investment, notably the launch of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds and innovations like Bitcoin Layer 2 solutions marked important developments. Moreover, macroeconomic factors such as fluctuating interest rates also played a crucial role. Despite these positive signs, the historic correction between Bitcoin prices and venture investments has shown weakened trends since last year, indicating a shift in investor sentiments and strategy. Focus on early-stage ventures. A striking 80% of invested capital targeted early-stage companies, reflecting a robust appetite for new and emerging technologies within the blockchain ecosystem. A key insight for investors: early-stage crypto and blockchain ventures are currently prime targets for venture capitals. Investor interest in advanced crypto solutions like Bitcoin Layer 2s could signal a crucial growth rate. Macroeconomic factors, including interest rates and inflation, continue to heavily influence investment decisions. In conclusion, the recent upturn in venture capital investments into the cryptocurrency and blockchain venture points to a caution yet growing optimism among investors. The sector's recovery is contingent to a sustained increase in investments and broader economic stability. Companies focusing on innovation, solutions, and early stage developments appear to be gearing the most essentially attraction, let's say, signifying a keen interest in the fundamental technologies of the crypto landscape. Okay, in a very simple form, this basically means that VC companies who tend to fund the next bright ideas are all pretty much lining up for blockchain ideas. Okay, VC companies, and just at the beginning of 2024, they funded about $2.49 billion into 603 different deals, all of them blockchain related. And the reason why these VC companies are seeing a massive potential within blockchain is mostly because of the Bitcoin ETFs and BlackRock and Goldman Sachs and, the list goes on, JP Morgan, Fidelity, everybody's pretty much coming inside the crypto space. That's why these VC companies are seeing essentially blockchain as the next place for them to be investing their money, which grows adoption again for the crypto space in a different angle. And some of those projects can blossom and become amazing projects as well. Down the road, we'll find out what those projects are, and I'll definitely reveal them on this live show of what the VCs have been investing into. Now, before we go to the next news, let me just see what's inside the comment section. The next news we're going to be going through is from the CFTC Commissioner Johnson and how he proposes how AI recommendations looping in DeFi. Well, let's go. According to Michael Saylor, he said that the only coin that will ever have an ETF is BTC, which is true regarding what Michael Saylor said. Is it true? Completely not. Hi, Miles CMF, Crypto J. Good to see you. How you doing? No, it's. I read that news yesterday, so I shared a news yesterday regarding Michael Saylor, and I said on this live show yesterday that he came out and he said that Bitcoin is going to be the only coin that's ever going to be used by institutions. It's the only one that's going to ever have an ETF. Everything else is a security, and so on and so on, is what Michael Saylor said yesterday. I revealed on this live show. Now, is what he said true? No. We're going to have more ETFs on the way. I mean, we're seeing that already happen in different jurisdictions. So already his statement is incorrect. Now, Michael Saylor is an incredibly intelligent person, incredibly wealthy person. So, no credit, I'm not taking any credit away from that man. He's a very intelligent person, incredibly wealthy. So I'm not taking away anything from him. But that one statement he made that Bitcoin is the only one with an ETF, nobody else will, everyone else will be securities, is incorrect, because already we're getting in different jurisdictions, for example, Ethereum ETFs. So his statement is already wrong, and it's going to remain wrong. We're going to have more ETFs. Bitcoin is not the only ETF standing. I mean, Hong Kong has Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, and other jurisdictions are also aiming for Ethereum and other ETFs as well. So his statement is incorrect, but it definitely, ramps up the price point on Bitcoin, which is his main factor. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? And Stormy, thank you so much for retweeting the live show as well. I got a notification. Thank you for that. Perfect timing as well. About to go through the next news, which is this one. CFTC Commissioner. Iman, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. Good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? CFTC Commissioner Johnson proposes AI recommendations looping on essentially in DeFi. The Commodities Futures Trading Commission's Christian Johnson proposed recommendations such as heightened penalties to address artificial intelligence in financial markets, including decentralized finance. In a speech delivered at the Sidley, Austin, and Rogerton Law School FinTech and Blockchain Symphony, Commissioner Johnson outlined her concerns about AI and how that applies to DeFi. Deploying AI in ecosystems running on blockchain technology raises novel issues for essentially supervision, risk management, and compliance, as well as enforcement, Johnson said. AI has been integrated into financial markets, including brokerage apps, compliance programs, and robo-advisors. In DeFi, AI can be used automated trading and algorithmic tradings. AI in general has raised concerns among regulators over risks such as manipulation and fraud, bias, and customer protection. Okay, so the CFTC right now has slight issue with AI. AI and blockchain together. They have a slight issue with that because they're saying the AI could go rogue, and there's a lot of people creating these AI bots, especially for trading. And some of these bots do tend to do some odd trading and scam people as well. So they're saying AI and blockchain is a bad combination if it's not being supervised. The reason why it's not being supervised is because a lot of scammers are creating these AI bots that apparently supposed to do, make you a lot of money. In reality, they're just making you lose a lot of money. But I see where they're coming from regarding the CFTC, but that's not really the main issue. The main issue isn't AI, and the main issue isn't it's not being supervised. It's the person creating it. So it's got nothing to do with AI and blockchain is a bad combination according to the CFTC. It's not a bad combination, blockchain versus AI. I mean, blockchain plus AI. It's not a bad combination. It's the person that creates it for the wrong purpose. A lot of people need to get the definitions correct, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, and on this occasion, the CFTC. It's got nothing to do with blockchain. It's got nothing to do with AI. It's got something to do with bad characters. You read my mind today. Let's go, funky brother. Do you know? Now, the next news to go through is this one. Interesting enough, Michael Saylor news, which is funky brother was talking about in the comment section. So, Bitcoin for corporations. Insights from MSTR's Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy World 2024, Las Vegas. Right now, we do have XRP Ledger World going on as well in Las Vegas, but we also have MicroStrategy World in 2024 in Las Vegas going on as well. Executive Chairman Michael Saylor shared priceless insights into the journey of corporations embracing Bitcoin. As a pioneer in this space, MicroStrategy applied a Bitcoin strategy 4 years ago, setting a precedent for others to follow. Saylor emphasized the significance of discussing Bitcoin for groups, highlighting the essentially precise challenges and considerations confronted by companies when adapting to this type of technology or approach. Adoption of Bitcoin in the financial sector. He underscored the importance of expertise and questions and issues that the company executives come across when considering Bitcoin strategies. These questions frequently stem from various stakeholders within expertise, ranging from financial implications to regulatory compliance and shareholder members of the community. Michael Saylor emphasized that businesses, in the contrast to individuals or personal businesses, function within a complicated environment that calls for alignments through multiple departments, professional partners, and regulatory bodies. The choice to adapt Bitcoin was always taken lightly, as it involves concerns about danger, compliance, and long-term strict plans. However, Michael Saylor expressed optimism about the corporate leaders to understanding of integrating Bitcoin into their businesses, essentially business models. Challenges in the adoption of Bitcoin. One of the most demanding situations, according to Michael Saylor, who addressed, was the regulatory uncertainty surrounding Bitcoin related activities. While regulatory clarity has stepped forward over the years, there are nevertheless questions concerning the class of positive activities to essentially together with money transmission and wallet control. Michael Saylor stated that those concerns but highlighted the role of agencies in driving regulatory disclosures and advocating for clear tips. I know exactly what he's talking about, and I'll tell you after I read this article to you. Despite the regulatory hurdles, Michael Saylor sees Bitcoin as a strategic asset for corporations, offering economic and technological benefits. He discussed Bitcoin's properties as a virtual settlement network and save of price gift, essentially for possibilities for fee financial savings and capital maintenance. Before I read the next part, Bitcoin is a terrible idea for transaction purposes, okay? Bitcoin as an asset, amazing. Okay, if you want to buy Bitcoin and keep it on the side as an asset that grows in value like real estate, amazing. But you shouldn't use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee, and you shouldn't use Bitcoin to, do transactions. You should just keep it as an asset. And if you want, sell it off some to pay off a mortgage, sell some off to buy some properties for yourself, or sell some Bitcoin to fund a business, I get. But sell some Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee is a ridiculous idea because the fees will probably outweigh the payment itself. And it's incredibly slow. So his ideology of businesses can, use Bitcoin. I would rather see, I see the potential of Bitcoin as having Bitcoin as a company in your portfolio as an asset. I see that. But as a transaction purposes, what he's talking about, I can't see that ever. Regarding there's two essentially blockchains that I cannot see for transactions because it's not possible. And how do I know this? Is because I've used both of these blockchains for transactions, and I'm guessing so has everybody else. If you're inside the crypto space, you've used these two blockchains for transactions, and they were both terrible. One, everybody's used at least Bitcoin once in their lives for transactions. Maybe not a whole Bitcoin if you haven't, but maybe you've used some of Bitcoin. I've raised $20 worth of Bitcoin to do a transaction. And it's slow and it's expensive. The other blockchain that everybody's probably used inside the crypto space is Ethereum. That is also slow and expensive. Okay, so I'm not, just pulling things out of thin air. I've used both of these chains and they are terrible for essentially the purpose of transactions. Every blockchain has its purpose. Bitcoin's purpose is not to be using Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Bitcoin's purpose is for you to have it in your portfolio as in terms of real estate. And with Ethereum, it's good to build on Ethereum, but transaction-wise, to be using ETH only, you'd be broke by the end of the month just in fees. I've used both chains. I've used Bitcoin and I've used Ethereum, and I'm guessing so has everybody else. And they're both terrible for transactions. Ethereum is good to build on because of all the features it has. Bitcoin is good as an asset in your portfolio for your company. That is all. They are both terrible for transactions. As I said previously, everything has their purpose. Some blockchains are designed for transactions, some are designed for real estate purposes in your portfolio, and some are designed because they have a lot of features like smart contracts and so on and so on. They're good for building upon. But that is all, not for transactions, not every chain. Now, let's just read the rest of it as well. But before I do that, let me see the conversation. Pure, good to see you. How you doing? Stormy 100, let's go. Greetings, Miles and CMF from YouTube. Happy Friday and hope all is well though. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? ETH is so expensive. Facts. Now, just to go back to what Michael Saylor was saying. Despite the regulatory hurdles, Saylor says Bitcoin as a strategic asset for corporations offering economic and technological benefits. He discussed Bitcoin's properties as a virtual settlement network and save of price of gift possibilities for fee financial savings and capital maintenance. With interest costs low and inflationary pressures looming, groups are increasingly looking to Bitcoin as an insurance policy against economic uncertainties. That I see. Holding Bitcoin again in your portfolio as in terms of real estate, yes, that's good. That's okay. Highlights recent achievements. Michael Saylor also addressed the recent milestones in Bitcoin's adoption, which includes the approval of Bitcoin alternative traded funds, ETFs. and evolving regulatory frameworks. He emphasized the significance of regulatory recognition and rejection of the opportunity of crypto properties in shaping the narratives around Bitcoin. Michael Saylor believes that regulatory clarity coupled with institutional adoption will pave the way for a broader corporate, essentially participation in the Bitcoin environment. I agree. Bitcoin's environment is definitely growing day by day. We're getting more banks, more essentially institutions coming inside the play, and the ETF space is definitely expanding. I can see that. Looking beforehand, Michael Saylor mentioned that trajectory of Bitcoin adoptions, envisioning a destiny in which organizations play a large role in mainstream Bitcoin. He expected a slow shift in direction of institutional adoption, pushed by factors including ETF approvals and the emergence of Bitcoin custodianship offerings. Michael Saylor emphasized the need for collaboration among companies, regulators, and industry stakeholders to ensure an easy transaction towards Bitcoin-backed financial systems. In conclusion, Michael Saylor reiterated the transformative capacity of Bitcoin for groups, urging urgency to embrace this paradigm shift in finance. As Bitcoin continues to gain acceptance and adoption, companies stand to benefit from its particular residency as a hedge in opposition to inflation and a motive force for innovation. I see that happening as well. With cautious planning and strict foresight, companies can leverage Bitcoin to enhance their financial resilience and liberate new opportunities within the digital economic system. Yes, I can see that. Okay, I can see, you using Bitcoin to borrow against. Yes, that's as good. Using Bitcoin in your portfolio in terms of as real estate. Yes, that is good. But using Bitcoin for transactions, that is a terrible idea. If you've ever done transactions on Bitcoin, it takes hours. It takes genuinely hours for the payment to go through. And the fees sometimes outweigh the payments, depending on what time of the day it is. And Ethereum is about 10 times worse on transactions. I use Ethereum obviously more in terms of transactions than Bitcoin, and it's always the fees on Ethereum. Honestly, if the world relied on Ethereum on terms of just transactions, the entire world will go broke within 6 months, just on fees. But obviously, according to the Biden administration, they print money, so obviously America can never go broke. But we get that one as well. That one was a very interesting one. But the next news we're going to talk about is Edward Snowden. And again, Edward Snowden has came out and made another speech, which I actually think people should listen to Edward Snowden quite a lot, because Edward Snowden was the only person talking about Section 702, which is where every single United States company has now become a spy machine on spying on the public, essentially inside the United States, because of Section 702, which no American paid attention to because it got reinstated at the exact same time as the Bitcoin halving. Everybody was focused on the Bitcoin halving, and then Section 702 was reinstated, where every company becomes a spy machine inside the United States. No warrants needed. No warrants needed. They can listen to you whenever they want. Through your phones, through your cameras, no warrants needed. But yeah, nobody knows about that. The majority of Americans still don't know about that. When I first started, you're 100% correct. Again, people have to respect the speed and cost of XRP. Yep. When I first started, I didn't know what to do. I used to buy through Coinbase wallet on ETH chain. Well, that's when the fees were there. Out of $1,000, I got $550 worth of crypto. Do you see how ridiculous the fees are? Camel was buying $1,000 worth of cryptocurrencies on Coinbase through the ETH chain, and he ended up only getting $550. This is why ETH is terrible on transactions. ETH is good with features on smart contracts, but transactions, I mean, if you say ETH is good on transactions, you are genuinely lost. Now, but it's good for smart contracts. Very good. Good day, Miles and CMF. Good to see you. How you doing? XRP is the coin that seems to move so slowly. Yep, it's the one that's on price points. Yes, definitely. But obviously we know why it's slowing, very slow on price points. Now, Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, time is running out to save Bitcoin's privacy. The renowned whistleblower Edward Snowden has issued a crucial warning to the Bitcoin community. According to him, developers must urgently address the vulnerabilities of the protocol before it's too late. For example, Wasabi Wallet. Now, Wasabi Wallet was essentially a wallet that recently got shut down. Privacy wallet for Bitcoin. It got shut down because the CEO essentially got arrested. Wasabi Wallet announces the end of its privacy service. The warning from Edward Snowden comes in the wake of an announcement that the Wasabi Wallet coordination service, a major player in Bitcoin's privacy solutions, is scheduled to shut down on June 1st, 2024. The decision by ZK Snacks has raised significant concerns within the crypto community. The impact of this development is not limited to users of Wasabi Wallet alone, but also affects those using other clients connected to the ZK Snacks coordinators such as Trezor Suite and BTC Pay Server. Edward Snowden, expressed his disappointment over this news, suggesting that Wasabi Wallet should explore alternatives such as decentralized coordinators or configurators that maintain privacy guarantees. A long-standing advocacy for privacy, Edward Snowden insists on the urgency of integrating privacy protection measures directly into the core of Bitcoin's protocol, a battle he has been fighting for over years. The famous privacy defender is a strong proponent of enhancing privacies within the cryptocurrency sector. This is what he said, word for word. And Edward Snowden does care about privacy. A lot of people say, well, I care about privacy and so on and so on. But Edward Snowden is one of those people that genuinely does care about privacy. I mean, he lost his job and his passport due to privacy because he was the one that reported that everyone's been spied on inside the United States. And then he fled the country, and he used to be an NSA, essentially, a NSA worker who fled the country to Hong Kong, revealed everything, all those America's secrets on how they spy on everyone through their webcams, through their phones, no warrants needed. He was the man that did it. He went to Hong Kong, he told the news reporters, he shared the news on the wall, went to Moscow, tried to apply for new passports, nobody would accept him, so right now he residents in Moscow still. And all of this was during Obama's presidency. All of this was during Obama's presidency. So he does care about privacy. We can see that. He lost his job over it and his country. And this is what he said, word for word. My message to developers is make the integration of privacy technologies at the protocol level an absolute priority, he insists. Thus, we must consolidate the very foundations of Bitcoin to face upcoming regulatory challenges and preserve its role as a bastion of individual freedom. Over the years, Snowden has emphasized the need to embed advanced privacy features into the core architecture of Bitcoin in order to ensure users' financial sovereignty. His message is a real wake-up call to developers, urging them to prioritize the integration of privacy technologies at the heart of the protocol. In summary, Edward Snowden's warning sheds light on the urgency to strengthen the Bitcoin privacy protection mechanisms to withstand potential regulatory challenges and ensure the crypto's longevity as a tool for financial autonomy and privacy preservations. Now, governments are obviously against privacy. Anything to do with privacy, all governments pretty much hate it. Apologies, 1 second. Sorry about that. Just trying to put my iPhone in charge. So, governments all hate privacy in general because they've removed the majority of privacy coins from exchanges completely. They've removed all of them, and Binance was one of the last ones left with privacy tokens, and they got pressure to remove them as well. And Canada put a lot of pressure to remove essentially a lot of privacy coins and so on. And now they're trying to get essentially privacy removed from Bitcoin. Now, Wasabi Wallet was there to protect privacy on Bitcoin's network, and Wasabi's essentially CEO was arrested. The other privacy projects on Bitcoin as well, they shut down their program instantly because the FBI announced they're going to be pretty much targeting everyone. So as I revealed a few nights ago on this live show, that it's not only that we have the SEC getting involved inside the crypto space, and not only do we have the SEC, the CFTC, but we also now have the FBI inside the crypto space. And because we have the FBI inside the crypto space, a lot of crypto projects just pretty much packed up their bags and closed up shop. Because it's one thing to have Gary Gensler sending you emails and letters, or the CFTC sending you emails and letters, but the FBI busting down your door is a different situation. That's why a lot of projects, after what happened to Wasabi Wallet, just decided naturally to close down shop, because they don't want to have the situation of the FBI behind them, because emails and letters is very different to somebody else arresting you. Now, so he is correct. Edward Snowden, he is correct. Privacy is slowly going away inside the crypto space, and a lot of governments are bringing out regulations to delist also privacy projects from exchanges, and now they're going after privacy projects on Bitcoin's network. They are trying to get rid of it, and they want everything to be full transparency, so they can spy on you 24/7. Now, also that's why Section 702 fits them perfectly in this matter. But before we go to the next news, which is following the US labor market report, Bitcoin surges past 60K. That's the reason why Bitcoin did quite well today. And some projects followed in suit. But before we do that, let me just go inside the comment section, see what everyone's saying before we read out the next news. XRP is the coin that's, yep. Grayscale are saying that pension funds are all coming into crypto and BTC. Regarding Grayscale saying that pension funds are all coming into crypto and BTC. That is true. That is very correct. But it's also because yesterday I also revealed that BlackRock's head of digital assets, Robert. So Robert is the head of digital assets at BlackRock. He revealed yesterday that there's going to be in the coming months. He said that in the coming months, so a few months, 3 months, 2 months. In the coming months, there's going to be a lot of money entering the crypto space from different angles. One of them was pensions. So that is correct. I mean, if Grayscale said this today, and BlackRock's head of digital assets, Robert, said that yesterday, it's matching up to what BlackRock said, and now Grayscale saying it as well. So in the coming months, we should have some money, expecting a lot of money to come inside the crypto space in the coming months. Now, because we heard it from BlackRock, and now we're hearing it from Grayscale as well. The next news to read on tonight's live show is this. That was my second purchase of crypto. I've come a long way thanks to you, brother. Let's go, Camel. The next news to read on tonight's live show is this. Following the US labor market report, Bitcoin surges past 60,000. In response to today's release of the US labor market report, the price of Bitcoin has established a level of about 60,000. Shortly after the US jobs report was published, Bitcoin's BTC value increased as market expectations for the Federal Reserve's Fed key rate cuts moved from November to September. According to the data compiled by CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin surged over 4% and it did about 7% today as well, following a statistics release, and is there still climbing, heading towards $62,000. Bitcoin whales assumed 47,000 BTC ahead of the Fed reports, according to data. Due to changes in macroeconomic data, market expectations for the path of the Fed key dates in 2024 have shifted. Rather than one cut, the market now anticipates 2 cuts of 0.25% each, with the first cut anticipated in September instead of November before statistics are released. Investors should pay close attention to May 15th report on consumer price dynamics, according to Bloomberg analysts. So May 15th, put that down in your calendars as well. May 15th, we're going to get a new report coming out of consumer price dynamics. According to Bloomberg analysts, this is something that everybody should pay close attention to that could affect the crypto markets. May 15th. They should not be concerned about their employee mandates following such a robust run on job gains, as the labor market is strong overall. They should wait for further signs of slowdown or an unexpected sharp decline in employment before taking any action. The foremost will remain on hold until they determine how much inflation is there. The experts from CIBC Capital Markets, Ali Jeffrey, the worldwide market's willingness to take a risk rose following a publication of the US labor markets report. With a 1.2% opening gain, the S&P 500 stock index is now in the neutral zone, while cryptocurrency's fear/greed index rose by 5 points today, leaving it in the fear zone. So that's why the markets are doing quite well for themselves today, because of that report. But we have another report coming out May 15th. But before I read out you the next news, which the next news is increased demand for trading of Hong Kong's virtual assets ETFs. The Hong Kong ETF essentially assets are doing a little bit better now. It's because it was going to take minimum 2 weeks for them to mature before they move forward. Just like the Bitcoin ETFs inside the United States, which Grayscale manipulated right at the beginning. But they also need a little bit of time to mature as well moving forward. Now, before I read you that, let me just go inside the comment section. Non-farm payrolls was positive, so was positive today. So BTC has pumped. Yes, that's also a reason as well. Good things come to those who wait. XRP will moon due in time, is what Semper was saying. So the comment section, which is true from my point of view as well. Increased demand for tradings of Hong Kong's virtual asset ETFs. Spot exchange traded fund ETFs connected to virtual assets saw a spike in trading volumes in Hong Kong. The essentially grantings of the license from the Hong Kong SFC has brought some hope. Nevertheless, a host of other difficulties stand in the way. Strong initial trading volumes reflect Hong Kong's investor enthusiasm. ETF trading volumes, essentially featuring virtual assets in Hong Kong, displayed their commencements in a sound way of overall trading volume, increased to 48.91 million Hong Kong dollars during a day. Bitcoin ETFs continued to be a ruler with the sum amount of $43.41 million, with Ethereum ETFs in second place with 5.5 million Hong Kong dollars as well in the process. However, this increased volume of day tradings highlights greater interest and virtual gold rush within the Hong Kong market. Despite the cautious approach, experts acknowledge that the ongoing regulatory and market challenges still remain, which may hinder the technological process, since the digital transformation of financial sectors had significant impacts on the several aspects of our lives. While the green light of virtual asset ETFs was well received, the main worry is essentially about the prospects of such products. In a way, crypto ETFs have seen a huge step forward, but for long-term investors, they might still be a little bit skeptical. Eric from Bloomberg, an ETF analyst, who is a senior ETF analyst of Bloomberg, suggests that there will be moderate inflows of around $500 million onto this market, which reflects the troubles of the Hong Kong is having to reach the size of its American competitors. Market size and governmental regulations as resistance. Now, Hong Kong has went to the Bahrain markets to get some money coming into their ETF space. About $1 billion is what they're aiming for from Bahrain to come into Hong Kong's market space. Now, analysts provide various jurisdictions for placing conservative estimates against a backdrop of the US markets of $15 trillion. Hong Kong's ETF at a $50 billion valuation is not that large. In addition of the control imposed by Chinese regulators on their local citizens, and essentially for these ETF demands, limit their desires for purchase / prominent players such as BlackRock are absent in Hong Kong's ETF market space. There are plans for the infrastructure of Hong Kong's market is yet to be essentially moving forward, efficient, similar to the US markets. Unrelated to this, we realize that this inefficiency causes premium discounts and wider spreads for exchange-traded funds, which can possibly cause accomplished investors who are already accumulated to convince the US markets to lose interest. If another reason is to be added, the higher fees are also contributing to the low estimates for the ETF investments. But it may be between 1% to 2% of investors who are used to paying a low-cost securities in the US fees are options. This can be a turn-off, as per Eric said. So Hong Kong is charging a little bit high for their ETFs as well. BlackRock is charging 0.25%. Fidelity is charging round about the same, about 0.20%. And the majority of the Bitcoin ETFs inside the United States are all charging on fees about 0.20, 0.25, 0.15. But we do have Grayscale at 1.5. But also the Grayscale has their mini Bitcoin ETF, which they applied for, which is around 0.25 as well. Hong Kong is charging 1% to 2%, which is ridiculously high on fees, which could be one of the reasons why it's a bit of a turn-off in Hong Kong regarding ETFs. Now, implications for the future. The success of virtual asset ETFs in Hong Kong can only be assessed in the long run. The initial numbers of trading volumes may indicate their promising future for the region. However, the comparison with the scale and dominance of the US virtual assets, ETFs may give a clearer perspective on whether Hong Kong can match up to the American counterparts. The initial fruitful stream submission is the telltale sign of rising eagerness for virtual asset investments in the area. Hong Kong's crypto ETFs immediately received robust trading volumes upon their launch, underlines the challenge ahead of the industry as it strives to solidify itself as a highly competitive player in the crowded international space. Hong Kong can do better, but they do need to lower their fees. 1% to 2% is absolutely ridiculous when you have BlackRock charging 0.25%. And interesting enough, one of BlackRock's top majority holder is a Hong Kong investment company. A Hong Kong investment company is the majority holder of BlackRock's BTC ETF. Even though Hong Kong has their own ETFs, but the majority holder of the American BTC ETF from BlackRock is a Hong Kong investment firm. So they decided to go for BlackRock's ETF, but not for the Hong Kong one, and they're a Hong Kong business. Now, before I read that, because it just shows you how ridiculous those fees are, 1 to 2% is absolutely ridiculous, but they're most likely going to lower their fees, which will open doors even more. Now, the next news I'm going to be reading you out is, has Bitcoin price peaked? Is the question. Has Bitcoin's price peaked? And is this the end? And we're going to go back to, pretty much lower numbers, or are we going to be picking up again? Is the next article I'm reading out to everyone. Before I do that, let's go to the comment section. By the way, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show as well. If you have any comments, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. I read everybody's comments one by one. And right now we are live on YouTube and X, so I'm reading both comments. So, good thing, yep. It's funny just before elections, all of this, yeah, definitely. Miles, won't all pensions or registered plans be all paid out in CBDCs when cashed out once everything is tokenized? Yes, but it does depend on the tokenization firm. So we do have, for example, a South Korean company who is a private company and they do pensions in South Korea. Now, they essentially backed some of their funds with buying Coinbase shares. So, and this was revealed about 2 months back, and I revealed that on this live show that I do every single night, the one that everyone's watching right now, that a South Korean pensions private company, they invested a ridiculous amount into Coinbase shares to back everybody's assets with. But then they weren't the only one. Japan's pensions, another private company, decided to go and back it with some other Bitcoin assets and so on. But the idea of them going towards CBDCs, yes, that's also going to be happening as well. But that doesn't mean they can't back it with other assets. So, Miles, won't all pensions or registered plans be all paid out in CBDCs when they're cashed out? Yes. Once everything is tokenized, yes, they'll be cashed out in CBDCs. They're not going to be giving you Bitcoins in any sort of way. Do you think Ripple will be decreasing? Do you think Ripple will be decreasing the amount of tokens they put back into their escrow as demand increases? Yes. Obviously, as demand would increase, then they would be putting a lot more less back into the escrow, and they might even increase the amount they pull out as the demand goes higher. Do you think the SEC's response on May 6 will be in the billions or closer to $10 million? Do you think the SEC's response on May 6 will be, well, knowing the SEC, obviously the SEC won't be asking for 10 million. Now, Ripple is the one asking, Ripple is the one saying it's more like 10 million than 2 billion, as what the SEC is claiming. Because obviously the SEC wants more money with no evidence. Ripple is going to be paying them less because they have evidence. Ripple isn't selling XRP, they're selling it through a subsidiary under Singaporean law. Which I explained even before that document came out, that I did explain that Ripple is doing those kinds of movements. Now, on the terms of, do I think the SEC is going to come out with their response on May 6th and say we're going to be paying $10 million? Yeah, sure. In a different world. But in this reality, no. Knowing Gary Gensler, I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Gensler comes out on May 6th and goes, I want 10 billion now. Because the guy never provides evidence. He just pulls out information out of thin air. So no. They're still going to be coming out with that $2 billion tag, essentially. Good evening, CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Hello, Miles. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So, this is the next news I'm going to be reading to everyone, which is, has Bitcoin's price peaked? Have we reached the top and that is it? Everybody go back home. The market is finished. So, according to founder Tom Lee, he clarified this with an interview. Fonstrot co-founder Tom Lee believes that Bitcoin's price has not peaked yet. In the latest episode of Speak Up program, with famous American investor Anthony Lee expressed his beliefs that the current market situation is not a peak indicator for BTC. This is what he said word for word. That doesn't mean it's going to reverse today, But I don't think it's a peak, Lee said, seeing the recent decline in Bitcoin's price as a bear trap. Right now, and according to Anthony Lee, what's happening inside the crypto markets of the market going sliding a little bit downwards, a little bit, not ridiculously, a little bit downwards, is a bear trap. It's something that I was thinking about as well when I explained on the Telegram group how they're doing a 360 on everyone. I think the April turmoil is kind of fooling us, he added. So he's saying what's happening right now inside the crypto space with that little bit of downwards that we had was a bear trap, because the bears are coming out and saying the market's going to go lower and lower and lower, while the bulls are saying it's going to go higher and higher and higher, as they always do. The bulls will always be bullish, the bears will always be bearish. However, there are things that are terms that we use, which one of them is bear trap, where it's just one big massive trap to make the market look like it's about to go shattering downwards even more. And then it does a 360, and everybody who tries to short the market gets liquidated. It's basically what a bear trap is in a very simple term. So Lee also, and he's saying that April, essentially, April and May, let's say. But Lee also heightened Bitcoin's technological breakthroughs, describing it as the pursuit form of trust. He argued that Bitcoin's high level of security gives it a significant benefit. Bitcoin has a proven track record as an asset and has been around for 15 years. Lee posed a question: how many trillion-dollar markets have existed for 15 years and then disappeared? Never in history, he replied. Lee is confident that Bitcoin's price will not drop to zero due to the size of the market. He describes such a scenario as unprecedented. He also goes on to say, there have been many attempts to eliminate Bitcoin, but ultimately financial institutions are slowly starting to realize that it is actually a great solution. That's why BlackRock and others are supporting this through spot Bitcoin ETFs. This is something that you should share with anybody, within your family or within your workplace that doesn't understand cryptocurrencies and thinks cryptocurrencies are scams. Maybe share them this live show and they can watch what I just said from Lee. The next news we're talking about tonight's live show is Kraken's subsidiary is a quiet giant in Bitcoin ETF growth. So there's something going on behind the scenes on the push point of pushing the price of Bitcoin ETFs. And who is doing it is a subsidiary from Kraken's side, which nobody's ever talked about in the crypto space. But before we read that, let me just go to the comment section. Free and forever. Thanks, Mars. No problem. Anytime. How can he get away with being dishonest to the judge? How can Gary Gensler, or the SEC, get away with being dishonest to the judge? Well, the last time they did that in David Boxer's case, about a month or 2 months later or 3 months later, 2 lawyers had to leave the SEC because the SEC lied. The thing is, it doesn't come directly from Gary Gensler, it comes from the SEC. So Gary Gensler can always get away with it. Now, this is it. Kraken's subsidiary is a quiet giant in Bitcoin ETF growth, Bloomberg. The company is looking to capitalize on the global interest in Bitcoin ETFs and seeking potential in South Korea and Israel. Kraken's subsidiary, CF Benchmarks, is a quiet major player in the growing popularity of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, ETFs. Bloomberg reported the company provides benchmark indexes for roughly $24 billion worth of crypto ETFs, including BlackRock's US-based Bitcoin ETF and all 6 of the newly launched Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in Hong Kong. There's a silent company in the backgrounds with roughly $24 billion worth of crypto ETFs. And they're backing BlackRock and the rest of the 6 ETFs inside the United States. Not only that, but they're also backing the Hong Kong ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And they're called CF Benchmarks. CF Benchmarks operates by licensing its data to ETF providers with fees that scale with the ETF investor base. The company claims it holds about half of the crypto benchmarking market. This dominance has placed CF benchmarks at the heart of Bitcoin's ETF growth, especially with the successful introduction of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US, which has led to increased revenue streams for the firm. CF Benchmark CEO Su Chung reported that assets for US spot Bitcoin. If you can see me, drop a thumbs up in the chat. Can everybody see me and hear me? Yep. Gerald can hear me and see me. Okay, we're good. Where you going? Yep, we're good. Yes, back again. Let's go. Okay, as we were saying before the platform did this, basically, CF Benchmarks CEO Su Chung reported that the assets for spot Bitcoin ETFs utilizing CF Benchmarks indexes have exceeded expectations, reaching more than 4 times the anticipated $5 billion this year. He also predicted that Hong Kong's products manage up to $1 billion by the end of 2024. So according to CF Benchmarks, which we'll read on more as well, but according to CF Benchmarks, who's the one issuing the licensings essentially to BlackRock and about 6 other ETFs within the United States and also the Hong Kong ETFs for Ethereum and Bitcoin. According to them, Hong Kong's ETFs will reach by the end of 2024 about $1 billion into them. Chong anticipates CF Benchmark's revenue to increase significantly this year and plans to expand their workforce by a third. The company is also setting its sights on new markets, including South Korea and Israel, where there is a strong affinity for digital assets and ETFs. South Korea is a market where, this is what they said, word for word. South Korea is a market where ETFs have become the wrapper for choice long-term savings. Chong said it's also the market where digital assets have gained a high degree of adoption. From US decline to Hong Kong's modest start. While the launch of US spot Bitcoin ETFs initially drove Bitcoin's price to a record high in March 2024, the price has faltered as investors' demand for the funds has cooled. Bitcoin ETFs in the US witnessed their largest daily outflows on Wednesday, with assets under management closing approximately $47 billion. Meanwhile, the debut of the spot Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong wasn't practically strong. On the second day of trading, March 2nd, Hong Kong's 3 Bitcoin exchange-traded funds only saw inflows of $10.3 million, based on data from Soso Value. The figure also considerably lower compared to the first day's inflows of $240 million. Trading volume reached about $9.7 million in both, essentially, days. However, these Hong Kong's listed spot Bitcoin funds currently hold about $238 million BTC in assets under management, which is still good. Honestly, Hong Kong's ETFs are growing day by day. This is what's happening. I said they're going to take about 2 weeks for them to mature. Minimum 2 weeks for them to mature. Not saying after 2 weeks it's going to be a ridiculous amount of money going into it, but it's going to take 2 weeks for it to mature, and then we're going to see the price movements happening on the BTC side of Hong Kong. Obviously, Hong Kong has their own regulations as well, which could be a chipping stone in the middle of it. Hey Miles, a friend of mine yesterday told me that he sold some of his assets. Yes. He sold some of his assets. Okay. Same, good to see how you doing. Yeah. Now, Miles, your background is a mirror imaged facing the other way. The background is a mirror imaged facing the other way. Interesting. Background is a mirror imaged facing the other way. It's because I clicked on the mirrored option. So basically, if I move this hand, it moves this hand. That was a bad explanation. Basically, on this platform, I have an option to do mirrored. So basically, if I move my left hand, on my side, the left hand is moving. If I move my right hand, my right hand is moving on that screen. If I turn off the mirrored option, if I move this hand moves on my screen. That's a better explanation. But it has a mirrored option, I've turned it on. So if I move this hand moves. If I move that hand moves. It's not the other way around, otherwise it'll be zigzag. Hi Miles, a friend of mine told me about Binance that he sold a bit of his assets to convert them to USDT, but he can't convert them back. But he can't convert them after the Great British Pounds yet, because Binance you can't do that. So what you have to do is, so if you sell your asset, not you, me. Let's say me for this example. So for example, if I sell my crypto assets on Binance and I want to turn them back into Great British Pounds or US dollars or euros, no matter where you are around the world, if I sell my assets on Binance, I can't do that on Binance anymore. So what I do if I want to turn to Great British Pounds is send my assets, my USDT, for example, my stablecoin, into Uphold. Okay, and then through Uphold, I will send it to my bank account in under 3 minutes, which will turn into Great British Pounds. Is what I would do. So I wouldn't. So through Binance, you can't turn your assets into Great British Pounds. You would have to send it to Uphold, and with Uphold, you can turn it into Great British Pounds in under 3 minutes in your bank account. Your garden is on the right. Is on the right side. What will we find out, if anything, on May 6? SEC versus XRP. What will you find out on May 6? SEC versus Ripple? Well, we're going to find out from Ripple's side. I'm sorry, we're going to find out from SEC side of where their viewpoint is. So far, we've had Ripple sending a letter to the judge to dismiss the Andrew Fox remarks within the case, and we have to see what the judge is going to be saying about that. On May 6th, we're going to get to the SEC again, coming out with pretty much no evidence again whatsoever, just speculations what they do, and speculating and still asking for $2 billion is what I would assume the SEC would say. I believe the SEC is going to come out on May 6th and essentially say we still want $2 billion. We still believe Ripple's in the wrong. We still believe they're doing securities. We still believe they're selling XRP and so on and so on and so on. And then we're going to go to the judge essentially at the end of the day. The judge, I think, is going to be quite fair, and she's not going to be imposing what the SEC is requesting in any sort of way, because the SEC is not factual and they have no evidence. It's just speculation. Ripple, on the other hand, can provide evidence of what their actual transactions are, because if they lie, then the fine will be very heavy on Ripple's side. So Ripple can't lie, otherwise the fines will go through the roof. But the SEC has lied before. We know that because of debit box. So that's factual. But the SEC is very, just based on speculation. They're selling XRP to this and that. They're still doing it. And Andrea Fox is involved with her opinions. But then Ripple's saying, she's not giving out opinions, but the SEC is. It's just going to be the same situation. May 6th is going to be the same situation. SEC asking for $2 billion, wasting everybody's time. At the end of the day, we're going to go to the judge, and that's all that matters. I think the judge is going to be very fair. Very fair. Now, this one is a funny one. If you ever wondered, will the US dollar go to zero? If you are, these people inside the crypto space who keep on saying the US dollar will go to zero. According to the Biden administration, or a man from Biden administration, this is what he said: US government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money, says Biden administration. Bitcoin gains attention as a hedge against government spending. In a documentary released today titled Finding the Money, Gerard Bernstein, chair of Council of Economic Advisors and a key advisor to President Biden on economic policies. He is the advisor to Biden, to Sleepy Joe. This man that I'm about to tell you, he's an advisor to Joe Biden when it comes, in a simple term, money. The issue with this is that this man is a buffoon. It kind of, to me, looks like him and Joe Biden share one brain cell between themselves. Because obviously we know Sleepy Joe can't walk, run, speak, write, jump, eat, stand, left, right. He doesn't know any of these things. So Joe Biden has a lot of issues of being a human being. And his advisor, his economic advisor, is the same man that came out on a documentary and said, we can't go to zero. The US can never, go bankrupt because we print our own money. And then when they said to them, well, if we print money, then why are we lending it? He couldn't explain. The guy is an advisor to Biden for money. Okay, he's the one advising Joe Biden about money. And he can't explain, if we're printing it, why are we lending it? He can't explain what is even money. So to me, it seems like him, this advisor, and Joe Biden are definitely sharing one brain cell, just one brain cell between them. The US government can't go bankrupt because we can't print. The US government, this is what he said, word for word. And again, this is a documentary that came out today titled Finding the Money. Gerard Bernstein, chair of the Council of Economic Advisors and a key advisor to President Biden on economic policies and essentially all types, essentially do with finance. So this is what he said, word for word. The US government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money, said Bernstein. His remarks have reinitiated discussions about the role of Bitcoin in an era of unprecedented government spendings and debt. During the documentary, which explores government funding, spending, and national debt, Bernstein struggled. Okay, this guy, again, he's the one in charge of giving advice on money to Joe Biden. Bernstein struggled to articulate his understandings of economic. He doesn't even know what money is, stating the government definitely prints money. This is what he said, word for word. The government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? He was the one asking the interviewer, is that what they do? How are you asking the person that's asking you the question of what the government does when it comes to printing money when you're the one in charge of advising somebody else on money? It's like me going to Mercedes-Benz. Imagine this. I go to Mercedes-Benz and I do an interview with a Mercedes-Benz engineer. And a Mercedes-Benz engineer turns around to me, I'm not a Mercedes-Benz engineer, turns around to me, I'm the one doing the interview, and says, so you put these valves, you put the petrol here, you put this here, you put the carburetor here, the turbos here, and the engine should work. It should work, correct? Yeah, it should work. I would look at him and say, how are you asking me? You're the one that's the expert on this scenario. This is how stupid this person sounds right now. The Bernstein man he's the one advising Joe Biden on economics. And he's asking the interviewer, that's how it works, right? When it comes to money. Honestly, the government, just to repeat, the government, this is what he said, word for word. The government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? Him asking the interviewer. Yeah, they sell bonds. Him replying back to himself. Yeah, they sell bonds. Replying back to himself again. Right, because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them that money. Bernstein comments have drawn criticism from experts who argue that his understandings of government debt and money printing is overly simplistic and potentially dangerous. You think the guy who's in charge of economic advice for Joe Biden can't explain how money works? The debate has brought Bitcoin back into the spotlight. Bitcoin advocates argue that the digital currency's fixed supply, capped at 21 million coins, makes a potential hedge against government money printings and inflation. Bitcoiners contend that as a government continues to accumulate debt and resort to money printing to finance their spendings, Bitcoin independence from central bank policies could make it an attractive alternative for investors seeking to protect their wealth. By him, genuinely, I'm not even joking, but by him, Bernstein, economic advisor for Joe Biden, and he's got a very big title. I mean, just to repeat his title, this is what his title is. Okay, this man has this title: Gerard Bernstein, Chair of Council of Economic Advisors and a key advisor to President Biden on economic policies. That is his whole title that he goes around with. He doesn't know what money is. And and in this documentary that came out today, he actually said, on the terms of, we print money, so we can never go to zero. So if you can print money, then why am I paying rent? Why am I paying my mortgage if you can print it? Why am I working for that money if you can print it? Should be the main question everybody should be asking. So everybody is focused on Bitcoin, at this sense, saying, well, this is why Bitcoin is good to hedge against it. So because you have this advisor that's coming out, who's Joe Biden's advisor, he's coming out and saying, we print money so we can never go to zero. But then everyone's now going towards Bitcoin because obviously, Bitcoin's capped. But the main question should be, well, if you're printing it, then why am I working for it? If you're printing it, if you're just willingly saying, I'm printing money so I can never go to zero, then print me some. Because why am I working for it if you can print it and never go to zero? Then print me some money, print everyone some money. Should be the main question everybody should be asking, not saying, this is why we should go to Bitcoin. No, ask the question of, if you can print it for yourself, then print me some and print everyone else some. Let's all go to debt together. Honestly, him and Joe Biden, Bernstein and Joe Biden, definitely, I'm 100% sure, based on my own opinion, Bernstein and Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, definitely share one brain cell between themselves. He's the advisor. So good times ahead. So you're not. Let me just go to the comment section. So, by the way, if you want to put a comment down in the comment section as well. I read everybody's comments one by one. I think the judge is going to hold Fox's evidence and ask for people to pay $100 million and close the case. Probably. Interesting opinion on that. Funky. Hi, Miles. One store their cash or profits into the USDC on platform as long as they wish. Mav goes, how you doing? Can one store their cash on profits into USDC and platforms? Yeah, it's a stable coin. Well, it's not financial advice. Stormy, let's go. Ian, let's go. So you're not a Biden fan? Definitely not. I'm in favor of living organisms. Okay, so on the basis of I'm not a Biden fan, nothing against Biden, but I'm in favor of I'm in favor of living organisms. To me, Biden has the resemblance of a zombie. Everybody calls him Sleepy Joe. To me, he just looks like a zombie. He just comes on, mumbles. You've seen movies. Everybody's seen movies or TV shows like The Walking Dead. You've seen the zombies in The Walking Dead. They just come past you in The Walking Dead and they just mumble some words and they just drift off onto the left and then just walk by to the right. That's what it looks like to me when I look at Joe Biden. So I'm in favor of the living, but he definitely has a resemblance of a zombie. Imagine Biden and his man hat. Imagine Biden and his man had two brain cores. They would be dangerous. I watched the interview today. You watched that interview today? Yeah, the interview was the funniest part I've ever seen. I mean, the interview was absolutely hilarious with the guy, actually, I can't believe he was, when I saw it, I thought this has to be one of these, like, gags. When people make these funny, like, comedy gags or something, I thought it was one of these things. I never thought it was genuine. When I saw the video, I thought this can't be true. Like, this is not a genuine documentary. This has to be one of these, like, comedy made up scripted ones. But it was genuine. That's what makes it more funny. It wasn't even scripted. The guy was an absolute moron. Biden's money advisor must also advise our fearless leaders of north of the border. Our PMs said publicly that budgets balance themselves. Lol. So what basically, of course, inside the comment section is Biden's money advisor must also advise our fearless leaders north of the border. Our PM, Prime Minister, said that publicly that the budgets balance themselves. Mexi restricted my account for 120 days. I can't send any crypto to different wallets. Not sure for the reason, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's a bit weird regarding Mexi. They didn't give you an explanation of why they did that. The guy has the same intelligence as Biden himself. Jobs for the boys' miles. Jobs for boys' miles. Lol, let's go. Maybe Bernstein is malfunctioning robot. Do you think that the judge will make decisions by the end of May? Possibility. By the end of May, there's a possibility on it, definitely. I honestly thought it was comic show at first. Yeah, same. Honestly, when I saw that interview, I was laughing my head off. But trust me, this live show is gonna get better and better as we. I mean, you thought this one was funny. I mean, the whole Bernstein situation that came out today, that was absolutely hilarious when I saw it. And even reading the news and telling everyone about it just makes me laugh even more. But as we get to the end of this live show, there's a much more interesting story to go through as well. But the next news now to go through is this one. So Hong Kong. Hong Kong's asset management firm becomes the largest investor in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. So a Hong Kong company where they can invest into Hong Kong's BTC ETF decided to invest into BlackRock's ETF instead. Not only that, they are now the largest investor in BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs, a Hong Kong company. Yong Rong is what his name is, or sorry, not his name, his company name. Yong Rong. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Yong Rong Hong Kong Asset Management Ltd. A prominent investment firm based in Hong Kong has emerged as a leading investor in the BlackRock iShare Bitcoin ETF, IBIT. According to Bloomberg analyst Eric, the firm has made a substantial investment of $38 million in IBIT, securing its position as the largest holder of the Bitcoin ETFs. The significant move reflects Yong Rong's confidence in the potential of digital assets, particularly in Bitcoin as a store of value and investment opportunities. Yong Rong's potential impact on IBIT outflows an intriguing analysis by James. Now, James is quite an intelligent person. He's an ETF analyst at Bloomberg, and he's been quite right on market movements, and so is Eric from Bloomberg as well. He's an analyst. He's an ETF analyst as well. Concerns were raised regarding the potential impact of Yong Rong's asset management investment strategy on IBIT. James suggested that the significant sell-off of Yong Rong's could trigger major outflows from IBIT, potentially affecting market dynamics. So, because the majority shareholder of BlackRock's IBIT, of their BTC ETF, the majority shareholder of BlackRock's BTC ETF is a Hong Kong company. So, according to James, the analyst from the ETF analyst from Bloomberg, he suggested that if they do a sell-off to get out of BlackRock's ETF and to jump into Hong Kong's ETF, it could trigger some movements in the markets because they're the majority shareholder in BlackRock's IBIT, and they are a Hong Kong company, and Hong Kong recently opened their doors to Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. Furthermore, speculations were made about the possibilities of Yang Rong migrating his investments from IBIT to Hong Kong-based spot Bitcoin ETFs, although potential gain in taxes could present a hurdle to such move, which is true. If he doesn't, good. If he does, he's going to be paying quite a lot of money in taxes, so he's a moron if he does it. As Hong Kong emerges as a key player in global Bitcoin ETF markets, investors are closely monitoring developments in the space for potential opportunities and risks. Overto emerges as the top investor in Bitcoin ETF markets. Another Hong Kong-based firm, Overto, has made waves in the Bitcoin ETF market by securing holdings in 4 spot Bitcoin ETFs with a total investment of $74 million. This makes Overto the largest Bitcoin buyer of the ETFs. Now, just to put in perspective as well, everybody talked about the Hong Kong situation where Hong Kong doesn't have money. Hong Kong Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, they're not going to get a lot of money coming into them because Hong Kong has no money and America has all the money, which is true. Obviously, America is much more wealthier, even though with ridiculous debt, and they print it. That's why they can never go to zero, according to Bernstein. But which is true. But the majority shareholders of BlackRock and Fidelity and Bitwise and a few other Bitcoin ETFs, American Bitcoin ETFs inside the United States, the majority shareholders are Hong Kong investment firms. They're not American investment firms. Hong Kong investment firms are the majority shareholder in the American ETFs, from BlackRock's, Fidelity's, Bitwise, for example. This marks Overto the largest buyer of Bitcoin ETFs to date, with Fidelity, Wise Bitcoin ETFs, FBTC, GBTC, and Bitwise's Bitcoin ETF, BITB, amongst his top holdings. Overto's strategic investment underscores the growing interest and demand for Bitcoin-related investments products in the global markets. BTC prices recovers after testing multi-month lows. After recent fluctuations in the market, the price of Bitcoin has managed to recover, surpassing $62,000 mark at press time. This price surge could amidst cooling labor market conditions and unexpected increase in employment rates to 3.9% higher than anticipated of 3.8. Analysts speculate that the Federal Reserve may implement further rate cuts this year, as indicated by Fed sweeps, signaling 2 rate cuts of 25 basis points each. These market dynamics highlight the resilience of Bitcoin and its potential to serve as a hedge against economic uncertainties. So yeah, according to this data that's just came out, now we know there are 2 major Hong Kong firms that are actually the main shareholders of BlackRock, Fidelity, Bitwise, and a few other ETFs inside the United States. It's not American investors or American institutions, it's the Hong Kong investors that are the majority shareholders in the American BTC ETFs. So Hong Kong has a lot of money, which also shows potential that the ETF market space in Hong Kong is definitely going to pick up, because if the majority shareholders of the American ETFs are Hong Kong companies, then that means the Hong Kong BTC ETF and Ethereum ETF that recently launched, believe me, in about 2 weeks minimum, they should start to mature and a lot of money should start entering them. Not Miles, savagely describing my nation's president with his own twist though. Love it. All facts though, unfortunately. Let's go, Ray. They said we have restricted your activity for 120 days, for 120 hours. To keep your assets safe still doesn't make any sense. Maybe they're doing updates. Maybe they're doing updates on the security. It's good to tune in again, but have to get an early sleep tomorrow. Need sleep. Good night, Miles CMF. Crypto J. See you tomorrow, brother. Same time as usual. Of course, Miles, they print the money. They don't need them. We work as donkeys. Smashed. Do not ask for the reality. Yeah. Have a good one, Crypto J. Let's go. Thanks. Yeah. Now, the next news is a bit tragic. This is an indication of why you should always send. So if you want to send money to anybody else or to yourself to another wallet, always what I do personally is I send a small amount. So if I want to send a huge amount to one of my crypto wallets or to a friend's crypto wallet and so on, I always send a very small amount just to test the account. I send $20, $100 just to test the account. And then when the payment goes through and it's the correct wallet and everything is correct, I send the larger amount. And I always do this. I never send the large amount straight away. I always send $20 to $100 ranging to test the account. And then I send the large amount. The reason why I said this is because $68 million mistake. A $68 million mistake. Funds of a scammed crypto trader already converted to Ethereum. Earlier today, an extremely unlucky trader fell victim to an address poisoning scam, losing a whopping $68 million worth of wrapped Bitcoin. Most of these funds have already been converted to Ethereum. The scammers already converted most of it to Ethereum. According to crypto tracking and compliance platform Mistrack, a $68 million mistake. The address poisoning scam involves creating a fake address that is very similar to the real one. So scammers basically create fake addresses that is very similar to your wallet address or wallet address that you're going to be sending to. This is why you need to always double check. And always what I do is send a small payment to see if it goes through, the other person gets the payment, and then I send the large payment. I never send the large payment with the first transaction. Second transaction for me is always the large payment. The first transaction to the same wallet for me is always the small payment to test the wallet. For this fraudulent scheme to work, a potential victim has to be careless enough to copy and paste the wrong address for performing their transaction. Hence, users are supposed to always double check their addresses, especially if they are copy and pasted from one transaction history. At some time, suspicious transactions should be simply ignored. Yet, the trader in question did not follow these pieces of advice, losing an entire fortune due to a few fateful clicks. In this case, the fake address had the same 6 characteristics as the beginning and the end. All eyes on the stolen funds. According to the blockchain investigator officer notes, there is no function in the code of the wrapped BTC issuer to freeze these funds, which means that they are likely lost forever. However, now that these funds have been converted to Ethereum, it is not clear how anyone is going to launder these funds, considering that their move will be scrutinized by countless blockchain platforms. This is a huge amount, and you're most likely gonna get caught. You pretty much got everyone watching every move you make right now, which is true. The scammer who got away with $68 million in one transaction, the scammer, turned the majority of the wrapped Bitcoin into Ethereum. And then his next move is going to be exiting out of exchanges. But then the exchanges will freeze the accounts. Honestly, if I lose $68 million on a transaction, on a crypto transactions, believe me, if I lose $68 million on a crypto transaction, I am turning into Jason Bourne. I am getting my $68 million back. There is no way I'm going to be sleeping that night or any night if I do a mistake of $68 million mistake. I'm going to be turning into Jason Bourne. I'm going to be tracking that transaction down on the blockchain. The moment it hits any exchange, I will be doing what is necessary at that moment in time. Now, Mistrack has suggested that the scammer should consider returning the funds, since it is very unlikely they will be able to spend all of them without getting caught. Honestly, there is no way. If you think I'm going to be sleeping that night or any night, $68 million gone in 5 seconds. No, I'm turning into Jason Bourne. I'm not going to blink. All I'm going to be doing is looking at blockchain transactions. Now, next news on tonight's live show is this one. But honestly, this is why you should check your transactions. Always, what I do a small payment, make sure the wallet is correct, and then I do the large payment. Don't be like this guy. His wife's probably left him by now. And I wouldn't blame it if his wife and kids left. $68 million. He couldn't be bothered to check the transaction. JP Morgan is the next news to check. JP Morgan unveils Index GPT AI powered investment portfolios. JP Morgan Chase & Co. is finally revealing the product that will wear the term Index GPT. So what JP Morgan has basically designed is your number one AI tool that you would probably need on trading. If you're a trader, if you're trading a lot in the crypto space, this is going to be a tool that you're most likely going to be using, and it's called Index GPT, designed by JP Morgan. A year after a flurry of rumors about its trademark applications and the phrase about ununified artificial intelligence power tool surfaced, Index GPT, a series of investment portfolios developed in collaboration with OpenAI's GPT-4 model. This initiative tool utilizes keywords related to specific themes, which is a natural language processing model analyzing to identify relevant companies mentioned in news articles. Essentially, it is a highly automated method of generating so-called thematic indexes, which pinpoint investments predicted on the up and coming trends like cloud computing, esports, cybersecurity, as opposed to conventional industry categories or business fundamentals. Wall Street is capitalizing on the investor frenzy for AI, seeing a catalyst for economic growth, driving US stocks to record highs with big tech leading the charge. While Index GPT isn't a financial revolution, it's a part of an ongoing AI-driven efforts in finance, obviously over the years, or knowing ChatGPT over the months, and we get more better. But it's called Index GPT. Validating use cases remains a challenge due to stringent regulations and potential costly missteps. JP Morgan's head of markets trading structuring, Rui Fernandez, claims that Index GPT is just the beginning of a lengthy journey to include AI in the index offerings. He stated in an interview, this is what JP Morgan said in an interview, word for word. It's about being able to select a broader range of stocks that are not necessarily the obvious companies that everyone already knows about. We are constantly looking for ways in which we can improve all our offerings, from equity volatility products to commodity momentums products, but we want to do it in a gradual, thoughtful, progressive way. Coming out GPT. So far, they haven't mentioned if Index GPT is going to be available to the public, or if it's just an institutional tool. Most likely, I think somewhere down the line, they're going to be revealing to the public, and they're probably going to be charging the public, $20 a month to be using JP Morgan's AI tool. I think a lot of people would probably pay the monthly fee to use JP Morgan's AI tool when it comes to trading. Just to test it out even. But let's see. Miles, can you ask everyone if they have used the free upgrade to ChatGPT 4? Yes, if you want to use ChatGPT 4 completely for free, you can use Copilot. Microsoft owns OpenAI, which is ChatGPT in other words, and Microsoft has their own AI called Copilot. Copilot has an option to turn on ChatGPT 4 completely for free. Now, Chile finds, the next news to go from tonight's live show is this. Chile finds no current need for CBDC. Okay. So just to say that again. Chile finds no current need for a CBDC, but will prepare. Now, if you tuned in for yesterday's live show, by the way, this is episode 46 if you're tuning in right now. Episode 45 was yesterday and episode 44 was the day before, and so you get the picture. So this is episode 46 of the CMF live show. On episode 45, which was yesterday at this exact same time, I said to everybody that when it comes to CBDCs, every single country, every single jurisdiction that is coming out with CBDCs, they have this urge to say, we've done the CBDC testings, we've done the CBDC testings, they were all successful, but we're not sure if we're going to be releasing CBDCs. but we're still going to be moving forward, spending more money on testings and so on, but we don't think we're going to implement them. And I've always said, why? If you do successful testings and then you say, we're not going to move forward with them, okay, fair enough. But then for you to say, well, we're going to spend more money on testings and do a business plan and a rollout plan, but we're not going to release it. And every single one of them, the UK, America, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, India, every single one of them said the exact same words of, we're not going to release it. There's no need for a CBDC. We don't need CBDCs. It's not useful for us. We don't need it. But the tests have been successful. We're going to draw up a business plan and move forward with it, but we're not going to use it. Then why spend money? Why do a business plan? Why do a rollout plan? The thing is, you are going to release it, but you're just twisting your words so people assume CBDCs aren't coming, which they are. And I said this yesterday, okay, when I was reading 19 other CBDC news. And then today we get this one. Chile finds no current need for CBDCs at all. CBDCs are not needed in Chile whatsoever. But we'll prepare. But they'll prepare for it. They're not needed in Chile whatsoever, but they're going to prepare for it anyways. This year, Chile published its second report explaining a potential central bank digital currency. Central bank digital currency, CBDC. The country has the highest rate of financial inclusion in the region of 85% to 87% with a significant proportion of digital payments. As a result, the Banco Central Chile does not see a current need of a CBDC, or an MDBC, as it's called locally. However, it wants to prepare in case the need arises. Its first report primarily covered desktop research, whereas the second relates to the public engagement. This includes a public survey with 450 responses and Height Roundtable working groups with payment industry participants. Chilean CBDC motivations. 63% of survey respondents throughout a CBDC could catalyze a greater innovation. Regarding motivations, offering an alternative to current electronic payments was seen as the number one driver, given current payment mechanisms have some frictions, although through the details were not shared. There's also a desire to encourage greater competition. In a survey, the second and third ranked drivers were lowering costs and enhancing efficiency. Other motivations from consultations included greater efficiency in cross-border remittances, but not near-term programmable payments using smart contracts. That's the one governments love, the programmable part on programming, freezing, seizing, expiries on your money. Public money in digital form, settling payments in a digital economy. However, some of these firms in the payments ecosystems noted that these issues could be addressed without the CBDC as well. But yet, they're still going ahead on, we're still going to build CBDCs, but never going to use it. Consumer acceptance of a potential CBDC is seen as a major challenge. Chile has 2 debit or credit cards per capita. Electronic wallets are widely available, and the state's own Banco Estado provides $14.5 million owned by Banco Estado, essentially, basic central RUT accounts, according to the International Monetary Fund. That's equivalent to around 95% of the adult population, total population 19.6 million. On the flip side, if Chile successfully issued a CBDC, it's concerned about attracting away bank deposits and the knock effect on credit. Regarding next steps, the central bank plans to start with some proofs of concepts on its own. That despite its desire to operate a 2-tier system with the banks and payment providers performing distributions, at some stage the PLC will focus on infrastructure, evaluating gaps and building internal skill sets rather than specific use cases. The central bank says it has technology neutral approach. Again, they said we're not going for CBDCs, but they're prepared to go for something that they're not interested in of ever releasing. But they're going to be going for proof of concept. They're going to be building their own chain, not building on a chain, but working on a chain. They're going to be evaluating gaps, building internal skill sets rather than specific use cases. And the central bank says it has technology neutral approaches, but they're not going to be launching CBDCs apparently. It's an interesting one. Now, we get to a very, very, very interesting news. Very interesting news. USDT has had some difficulties. A lot of people use USDT for illicit activities. A lot of people use USDT for illicit activities. And because it's crypto, it's public and everything can be tracked. And a lot of people struggle still to understand that crypto is public. And if you do any sort of dodgy behavior, it's a public blockchain. Well, somebody didn't tell this particular person. And this particular person is Cartier. Cartier Jewelry. So, Cartier Jewelry Hair arrested for laundering drug money with USDT. The US Justice Department of the DOJ has indicted and arrested an heir to the Cartier Jewelry empire with concerning to laundering the proceeds of drug trafficking using Tether USDT. In Miami, law enforcement arrested Maximilian D. Hope Cartier. He's from the Cartier family, a direct descendant of Louis Cartier, the massive jewelry company Cartier. Apparently, one of their family members was involved with the cartels, moving around USDT. Cartier Jewelry Company, one of the family members of a direct descendant of Louis Cartier, Maximum D. Hope Cartier, was using USDT, moving around cocaine quite a lot, which we'll get to as well with USDT. I think somebody forgot to explain to him that blockchain is public. The founder of the luxury watch, necklace, and bracelet maker, where he was allegedly coordinating with the Colombian drug cartel. Alongside 5 Colombian nationals, Cartier tried to import 100 kilos of cocaine. Everybody see me? Can everybody see me? For some reason it froze. Drop a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me. Or am I frozen still? Yep, you can see me. Because I got a notification. It said payments. It said network adjusting to new server. Yep, you can see me. Yes. We're good. Okay, we're good. So, we're good. House, you cannot say those things on air. Most likely, that's why it happened. So I'll filter it. They actually succeeded to launder about 14.5 million USDT before the arrest. So out of the $100 million they were going to be moving on USDT, they were able to move about 14.5 million USDT before they got arrested. Cartier is currently in Miami in detention center with his correspondents. All of them are in the Colombian jails. To carry out this scheme, Cartier controlled shell companies and misrepresented them to financial institutions, that they were in business of a software and technology company. He then used the company account. This is what Cartier did to move around money. Jewelry company Cartier, a member of their family, to carry out his scheme. Cartier controlled shell companies, which are companies that are just blank. Shell companies, and just on paper, and misrepresented to financial institutions that they were in business of a software and technology company. He then used those companies' accounts, according to the indictment, as unlicensed money transmitters. Using USDT, dollars, pesos, and other currencies, Cartier laundered hundreds of millions of dollars worth of criminal proceeds. Cartier Jewelry here loved Tether. He actually came out and said, he loves the idea of Tether and USDT. Cartier has spent most of his life in France, although his citizenship is in Argentina. He faces 4 counts of criminal misconduct, money laundering and conspiracy to commit money laundering, transacting in property derivatives with specific unlawful activities, and operating an unlicensed money transmitter. Jeweler Louis Francis Cartier founded the luxury brand in Paris in 1847. Maximum Cartier is a descendant, also owned a wine, beer, and bottled water company, Pentagon. USDT is widely suited to money laundering. It substitutes directly for dollars. Yet, unlike the bank transfers, it may be sent permissionless to anyone using 16 blockchains within seconds. For the cartels situations, the risky cash deliverers and unreliable bank wires, USDT nearly instant and reversible settlements is a welcome upgrade. So that's what Cartier was up to. Family member of Cartier, moving around money in USDT. Now, why is that bad? Also, is because USDT has been on the news recently quite a lot. Okay, USDT has been on the news for multiple illicit activities. One, Russia. Russia was using USDT, and America hates Tether. America hates Tether. USDT was Tether was being used for illicit activities in Russia. Tether was being used for illicit activities in Iran and Venezuela and North Korea, and now this. And with every incident that happens, America is fully against it, fully against the idea of Tether. And they keep on saying, the US keeps on saying that Tether, there's issues with Tether, major issues, where people are skipping on sanctions or they're doing that. And again, this just piles on top of Tether's situation. If it was a random person doing it, it wouldn't be much of a major news. But because it's Louis Cartier doing it, or descendant of Louis Cartier doing it, it makes the headlines, essentially. And again, it makes Tether look terrible in terms of this. I'm not sure if anyone can see my comments, but I can't reply to anything on X. But I hope everybody had a wonderful Friday. JP, I can see your comments, brother. How you doing? Miles, can I ask you if they ever used to? Yep. Hello, CMF. Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? Miles, hello. How are you doing today? I'm doing great, Scott. How you doing? Apologies about that. Good to see you as well, Scott. How you doing? How are your parents? My parents are doing very well. Thanks so much for asking. And business was good today, but I'm very busy as well. Very busy. CBDCs are there if they need it. Basically, yes. How's business? Good. Ian, let's go. Funky, let's go. Yes. That's when the internet. That's when the server situation happened. Mouse, you cannot say those things on live on air. They will block us. Or yes, I've got to be very careful what I say. They holding companies, yes. Another goldfish, yes. And we have reached. That was the last news of today. That was the interesting news. The funny news was Bernstein, and the factual and according to data news was essentially the Hong Kong news. How a lot of money is headed towards Hong Kong still, and the biggest investment companies within Hong Kong are actually invested into the American ETFs, and the majority shareholders in American ETFs. But we'll go through the gist of what I've talked about on tonight's live show as well. So, everything I talked about tonight's live show was the US Tether situation, and how USDT again was used for illicit activities and made headlines because of who the person was. The next news we talked about on tonight's live show was JP Morgan, how JP Morgan unveiled Index GPT, which is a new AI-powered investment portfolio tool created on OpenAI, made by JP Morgan for investors, for traders essentially. The next news we talked about on tonight's live show was the $68 million mistake. Somebody decided to send $68 million to the wrong wallet inside the crypto space, essentially. I think it's, sorry, I was reading the comment section as well at the same time. So $68 million mistake, funds scammed, crypto trader already converted Ethereum. Basically, it's a scam inside the crypto section where they create similar addresses, wallet addresses, to someone that you're going to be sending it to. And by mistake, you can send it to the wrong wallet and, your money's gone forever pretty much, unless it reaches the exchanges. The next news we talked about was how Hong Kong asset management firms are actually becoming the largest investors in Bitcoin ETFs in the American institutions. The next news we talked about is the US government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money, says the Biden administration. A moron from the Biden administration, Gerald Bernstein, couldn't explain how money works inside the United States and just basically said, we print money so we can never go bankrupt, is what he said in the most simplest form. The next news we talked about tonight's live show was Kraken. A subsidiary from Kraken is a quiet giant in Bitcoin ETF growth, according to Bloomberg, and they're called Benchmark. Essentially, Benchmark has a lot of money coming in, about $25 billion of assets under control. The next news we talked about tonight's live show was, has Bitcoin's price peaked? According to Lee, which is a Fundstrong co-founder, Tom Lee, he believes that Bitcoin's price has not peaked yet, and there's a lot of room to go on price points to go higher. The next news we talked about was the increased demand for trading on Hong Kong's virtual assets ETF source. So essentially, a lot of money slowly is starting to come towards the Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs in Hong Kong as days go by, which is good to see. The next news we talked about was the following US labor market report and how Bitcoin surges past 60,000, which is again good. And the reports that came out today regarding Bitcoin was pushing the price points up the market in general, which was the reports that came out. But we also have another report coming out around 24th of May as well, which can help the market and price points as well. The next news we talked about on tonight's live show was regarding MicroStrategy and how he's again came out and said, Bitcoin should be used by all corporations moving forward. Bitcoin is the #1 choice for any company. And this is according to Michael Saylor, and it should be used for transactions. I believe Bitcoin should be used as an asset in portfolios, not for transactions, an asset to borrow against even, in my opinion. The next news we talked about was the CFTC Commissioner Johnson and how he's saying AI and DeFi together is a bad combination. And I said it's not AI plus DeFi which is a bad combination, it's the bad characters that use AI plus DeFi in the wrong way. It's got nothing to do with AI being bad plus DeFi and it's a dangerous combination. It's not. AI and DeFi are not a bad combination. It's the bad characters that create the bad combination. So they need to get the wording correctly. And the next news we talked about on tonight's live show was the surge that's happening from VC companies. Venture capital companies are heading towards about 98% or 80% are heading towards essentially the crypto side to fund these companies. About $2.4 billion has been invested into cryptocurrency startup companies since the beginning of the year, which is massive. $2.4 billion all from VCs, which means they see that growing adoption happening inside the blockchain sector moving forward. The next news we talked about tonight's live show was the SEC, how they delayed the Bitcoin and carbon credit futures ETFs up until 24th of June. That is all the things we talked about on tonight's live show. If you did tune in late, I think it's more YouTube vlogs here. Good night, Professor Miles. Till tomorrow, take care. Funky brother, see you tomorrow as usual as well. Miles, did you check out OX Coin and ETN? No, but they're still on my list. I'll check them out tonight. Night, all. Thank you for the news. Let's go, JP. JP, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Have the Chinese made their move on the Hong Kong markets yet, Miles? Not yet, no. Good night, Miles and family. Great life. Thanks, good one. Ian, see you tomorrow, sometime as usual as well. Take care, Miles and family. Ray, see you tomorrow, sometime as usual as well. Thank you for the update. Let's go, Susie. Susie, see you tomorrow, sometime as usual as well. So if you tuned in late, that was all the news we talked about in tonight's live show. That was the gist, but you can rewatch the live shows on YouTube or X. And if you're watching this live show for the first time ever, you enjoyed this live show, you can tune into this live show every single night on X Live or YouTube Live, starting 11:25, 11:30 p.m. UK time, or the same time you're watching me right now, but it's the end of the live show. Thank you so much to every single person from the CMF that tunes in every single night. Thank you so much to everyone who's new watching this live show as well. And thank you so much to everyone who's tapping on the screen on X and YouTube and retweeting this live show on X. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. And again, this is the CMF live show. We talk about recent news that's happening around the world every night. Great live, Miles, as usual. Good night and all CMF. Jason, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. Safe and mobile. Yes. Scott, I'll take a look at them as well. They're on my list. Safe and Mobile is on my list, and so is OX and ETN. And Scott, see you tomorrow about the same time as usual. I'll get back to you on this. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world.